From the Schmoes Know Network studios in Los Angeles, California, it's time for Meet the Movie Press. And now, here's your host, the editor-in-chief of schmoesknow.com, Mark Reilly, and from The Wrap, Jeff Sneider.
All right, hello Schmoville. Welcome to Meet the Movie Press. And I am Mark Reilly, editor-in-chief of Schmoes Know, and look who's back.
It's me, Jeff Sneider, film reporter for TheWrap.com.
How the hell are you, sir?
I'm good.
You are...
I'm tired.
I know you are.
Good.
And that's what we're going to go right into. Guys, we have a great show, but I want to start it off, Schmoville. We have a fan page on Facebook called Meet the Movie Press on the Schmoes Know Network. I would love it if you guys went and liked that page. And I wanted to ask something of you guys. I want you guys to get more active on there, and that goes for me too. I want to get more active. I want to hear from you guys. I want you guys to drop in some comments, ask some questions, drop in some of your thoughts of like who we should have on the show. Maybe we can get them. Some topics you want to hear us discuss, like all that stuff. It's all there on Meet the Movie Press on the Schmoes Know Network Facebook page. I
need to also get more involved. And guys, feel free. Email me, jeff@thethrap.com. Hit me up on Twitter, @theinsnider. We are taking requests. Whatever. This show is for you guys. Whatever you want to talk about, who you want to talk to, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we want to get more interactive with the fans. That's what we're talking about here, because we're climbing those ratings, and then, you know, but we want more. We're greedy here at Meet the Movie Press. We want to beat all those other shows, not just on the Schmoes Know Network.
Right.
We want to beat all the shows in the universe.
Help make my mother proud of me, please.
Yeah, please. Jeff Sneider would really appreciate that. So without further ado, guys, this is a great show. We are going to have in about 10 minutes Kofi Outlaw. Fantastic name.
Oh, yeah.
Editor-in-chief of ScreenRant.com, which is one of my absolute favorite sites. They cover it all. They have in-depth articles, and we're going to get into discussing all that good stuff, because I know you guys out there in Schmoville, you've been kind of tweeting me and dropping stuff on Facebook saying, oh my God, Screen Rant, that's one of my favorite sites. So I'm so glad to have them on, but I want to get right to something, and I want to talk about TIFF.
That's the Toronto International Film Festival.
Yes, for the layman's out there, it's not Tiffany Smith. It's actually...
We can actually talk about Tiffany Smith if you want.
Yeah, we could talk about TIFF. But the Toronto International Film Festival is, I think, second to Sundance as far as...
We're not
huge.
Here to rank things.
Okay.
I mean, no, but I mean, you would say Cannes is the biggest in terms of international prestige.
Got it.
Sundance is the nearest and dearest to my own heart, and then there's Toronto, which functions as like a film festival and a market of sorts.
Yeah, and so we were talking briefly. You know, tell us your experience, Jeff. There, you covered it. And I saw all these pictures. I saw a picture of a selfie, and Bill Murray was in the background. And
sure, we met St. Vincent himself, Peter Venkman.
That's right.
Yeah, no, it was a good week. It was a long week. It was my second time covering Toronto. I was up there for the Wrap this time, and it was nice going for the Wrap. Before I had been with Variety, and at Variety you have the additional pressure of print dailies. So you need to basically put a whole mini newspaper together, you and, you know, one or two other people, and have it out by, you know, have everything filed by 5 o'clock, and so that it's out in the morning, essentially.
Wow. So that's crazy work when you're up there, you know, covering the film festival.
Either way, yeah, it was tough.
So how's it different when you're doing it for the Wrap?
I mean, you know, I went up there to try and break some of the acquisition news. We did not have very good luck this year.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was a bit of an agenda amongst the buyers and sellers.
An agenda, you mean like they're giving potential information to other outlets?
I think that there's one outlet in particular
I know who you're talking about.
that tended to get a lot of the news this week, and
I saw that
for whatever reason, and that's fine because it allowed me to kind of focus on, you know, what our strengths are.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of video interviews up there at the Wrap. I thought it went great.
I did. I watched a lot of them. And you were great, dude.
Yeah, there were some cool ones. We got to I got to interview Chris Evans, Captain America.
Yeah, I saw that.
And you know, one of the things that we connected on was I remember being in high school when he got cast in Not Another Teen Movie. And he was a local boy. He's from Sudbury, and I was from Needham.
Nice.
I'd play, you know, their volleyball team in high school or whatever. So I remember hearing about Chris Evans getting that big break, and now look at him now. You know, he's directing a movie.
So did he bring his? I heard he sold his directorial debut. Is that correct?
Yes. You know what? I think that happened yesterday when I was out.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, I heard that yesterday too. I mean, that's the thing about TIFF, guys, is that it really is more about, I did hear a lot about the Judge screening there because
that was opening night, so it has everyone's attention,
exactly.
before you even start talking about the other movies.
Exactly, and a friend of the show, David Gambino, is a producer on that. He's the president of Team Downey,
and that was their first movie, really, their first big movie.
Yeah, so I saw a lot of that, but then as the news kind of started filtering out, guys, it was like, it was all about acquisitions. What are these movies, what they are, who's starring them, and who's buying them.
Right.
And that's interesting.
Listen, acquisitions are important. Don't get me wrong. I would love to go to a film festival, whether it's Sundance or Toronto, wherever, one year, and just go and enjoy the festival and not have to focus on work and who's buying these films, and just enjoy kind of the purity of the festival.
Yeah.
Toronto is a bit of a beast because there's just so many movies. I mean, I saw a lot of movies, and then I come back and I think of all the ones that I didn't see.
Yeah.
So, a film festival is really about making decisions, folks. How are you going to spend your time? Because that is, you have precious time available to you.
Right.
So you make decisions like, do I see Men, Women, and Children, or While We're Young?
Right.
Jason Reitman, Noah Baumbach. Two, really good filmmakers.
That's like a Sophie's choice for me as a film lover.
With really good ensembles, so you're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, and no matter how you choose, you'll end up choosing wrong.
Yeah. And so, how do you choose? Is it like, does your boss basically say you're going to go see this, or are you just kind of like, I'm there, I'm going to go do what I can.
Yeah, I mean,
with the time
it's general. I don't really see a movie I'm not going to waste time in a film festival seeing a movie that I don't want to see.
Right.
Unless I have to see it, to prep for an interview or something like that.
Sure.
I definitely veer towards the acquisition titles, just because you want to be seen as a reporter. I mean, this is the advice I can give you. You want to be seen in that room. You want to show that you care about who buys this movie, and you don't want to leave early. So, it's things like that.
Yeah, it's a film festival that I have always wanted to go to, but have never gone, and it just seems like one of those. It's very prestigious, and it's become one of the big ones. I mean, I remember years ago where it just didn't register for me, and I was always following. But
Toronto kind of signals, along with Telluride and Venice, they're all three are back to back, which is just crazy and makes no sense.
Right.
And they're all showing the same movies, and they're competing for the same movies. It does signal the sort of start of award season.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that means that every movie that screens at Toronto is then filtered through the lens of, is this an awards contender? No, dismissed. What's next? What's the next potential Oscar contender? And so there's, a good movie like The Imitation Game, I saw up there with Mr. Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
That was a good movie. I'd recommend it. Fascinating story about Alan Turing.
Yeah.
Oscar contender? I mean, everyone thought so. It got a standing O. I was sitting there being like, what?
So was that like the pre-buzz that was going into it, where it's like, a lot of it
is the pre-buzz, and so people they go into these movies with their minds made up,
right? And that's unfair. I think we all do it. I mean, it happens even with the big blockbusters. You see the trailer and you go, I'm judging it now. I already know. They're doing it even with these Star Wars leaked photos. I'm judging it now.
And honestly, that is on us, the media, the movie press.
Absolutely.
So my favorite movie at TIFF was Nightcrawler, the Jake Gyllenhaal movie. And I was talking about it with one of the awards gurus, and he was just like, it was good. It's not really an awards movie. And it's like, why is it not an awards movie? Because why can't we make this the sort of movie that is an awards movie?
Yeah, it's all subjective too. I mean, it's like, why if you like it and say, God, this should be an Oscar contender, and somebody a colleague says not really, and then it's that debate, and then
right, it can't just be about quality, about the performance. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal in this movie is fantastic.
Yep.
It is.
That's all the buzz.
It is reminiscent of Taxi Driver. It is an amazing LA movie, like probably the best LA movie since Collateral.
Oh wow! I can't wait.
It's shot beautifully. Renee Russo's excellent. I think she stands the best chance of getting a nomination. So
Renee Russo,
fingers crossed for this little movie that Dan Gilroy is his first movie. He went off and made, and Yeah.
Well, it's so funny because when we cover it on schmoesknow.com, people are going crazy over it. I mean, they saw the first trailer and they were just all up at arms like, this is amazing. It really gets a lot of hits. So I'm happy to see a blog like schmoesknow.com, a geek-centric website, gravitate towards what looks to be a fantastic movie, well done, well shot, well acted, well written, all that. So that's great.
Did you see The Equalizer?
I did not see The Equalizer.
Oh, okay.
No.
I know that they had shown it to some press out.
Yeah, no, I do want to see it. I do want to see it.
I'm thinking what else our audience might care about. I mean, I'll say that Big Game was really good. That was the first Midnight movie. It's Sam Jackson as the president, and he sort of crash lands into the middle of a forest in Finland the same night that some 13-year-old Finnish boy is kind of spending the night in the forest trying to hunt something, like as a rite of passage.
Wow.
And so the terrorists come after the president, and it's up to this 13-year-old kid to protect the president.
Oh, I love that.
That was a lot of fun. That sold. And the last one I would say that Schmoville would care about would be Kevin Smith's Tusk.
Tusk, how was that?
Absolutely wild.
Yeah?
When you see Justin Long in this movie, in the costume, I mean, it's going to blow some minds.
Oh, wow.
Just give it a shot. I know it sounds out there, folks.
It does.
I know it has a little air of Human Centipede to it.
Yeah.
I had a great time with it, and I won't spoil the big cameo
Twist.
thing.
Oh, cameo?
Yeah, no, there's a major movie star who, stars in the last third of the film.
Wow.
I think you'll be able to find his name out there online if you search it, but it's best to just go in cold and be surprised.
I could call it, I bet, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
I'm going to let people enjoy their movie-going experience.
So, yeah, I mean, TIFF was good. Bill Murray remembered me.
That's so success, you're saying. Bill Murray, Dr. Venkman. That's right, boys. It's Dr. Venkman.
Right.
He remembered you.
Exactly. His movie was great, by the way, as well. St. Vincent.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to St. Vincent, and I think it's just amazing that you're up there and you're doing your interviews. I watched your videos. You're in your Chris Evans interview, and
yeah, if you ever get the chance to go, you should.
Oh, absolutely, I want to go. But guys, so I wanted to kind of get Jeff's opinion and experience on TIFF because it's like I said, a huge international film festival and acquisitions, and that was some of the major news. But we're going to switch gears now.
All right.
Because we have, calling in via Skype, a great guy that I got to meet at Comic-Con. And we got to talk a little bit at the Sin City party, whatever it was, and he was just so nice. And then Christian the other day was doing AMC Movie Talk, and he got to meet another guy from, and I'm talking about ScreenRant.com. We have on the line now Kofi Outlaw, editor-in-chief of Screen Rant. Kofi, are you there? JT, is he there? Hello? Anyone? All right, we're just going to throw up some Jeopardy music and just wait.
Technical
difficulties. Okay, I'll just sing the praises more for Screen Rant. They're really good.
They've got like 57,000 followers on Twitter, which is impressive to me.
They're huge. They're one of the biggest sites that I go to.
Do they have a big British audience? Is that?
I don't know. Is it?
Well, where's the site based? Do you know?
It's based.
These are all questions for. I'm blowing up his interview.
I know. Yeah. It's. Do we have him yet, JT? Nope, not yet. He's on. We're not hearing anything. So Kofi could probably hear us talking, yet we can't hear him.
Our magician JT is going to work on it.
Yeah. So
in the meantime,
I go to Screen Rant a lot. When usually maybe it's a slow news day for us, meaning breaking some stories or whatnot, or doing special articles. Screen Rant's great because they really they post a story. And they not only give you the juice, the main story there, but they really break it down on how it got there. Like they bring up other links that they've done, other pieces that they've produced and written, and it's an all-encompassing story. It's like you can actually sit there and read for like hours and get all the backstory, like from step 1 to like step 5, on how it got there. Do we have them?
We're getting the thumbs up.
Kofi, are you there?
I am here.
Hey, there he is. And am I saying your name right?
Absolutely.
Oh, good. Because I love your name, Kofi Outlaw. That's awesome. But I believe I met you as something different at Comic-Con. Is that just your handle, or are you just
I mean, sometimes I don't know. If it depends where I am. Sometimes I have my middle name Brooks, which is sometimes for like people if we don't have time to go over the whole "what's your name" thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like,
well, that's great, man. It's so great to have you on.
Yes, welcome.
You are editor-in-chief of ScreenRant.com. I was just singing Screen Rant's praises. Like I said, Schmoville, when I posted on Facebook, our Facebook page, and tweeted you out, people were just going crazy, going, that's one of my favorite websites. So I got to hand it to you and the team of ScreenRant.com, because I've been visiting your site for years and years and years. I know you guys started in 2003, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there was an early incarnation of it from about 2003 to 2008. I think the version that we're working under now kind of started in 2008 when I came on and Rob came on. And yeah, we all kind of just started to form a little different crew. But Vic, yeah, he had been at it since 2003.
That's cool. So how did you get involved, and how did you rise to the prestigious editor-in-chief that is a title I share with you?
Well, I mean, I started out, it's kind of a long story, but I'll make the short of it for you.
Sure.
My best friend helped start joystick.com.
Okay.
He was part of that team. A lot of those guys went to polygon.com now.
Okay.
But yeah, he helped start that. And so I was in graduate school in New York and for writing, and he trying to, of course, like most writing grad students, I was broke and trying to figure out something to do to earn some money. And he was like, look, I've done this with video games and I know how much you love movies and TV. Why don't you just jump in? And so I started working for a site called Critics Rant, which was run by somebody, I don't know if you know Kevin Kelly. He's
Kevin Kelly. No, not familiar.
It sounds familiar. I think I know Kevin Kelly.
Yeah, he's a freelance guy. He does. He's worked for a million sites and been on a million places, but he was kind of editor-in-chief of that site, and we worked on that for about a year and kind of built that up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that was 2007, so around 2008, it all fell apart, and so.
Yeah, the economy, you mean?
Yeah, the economy crashed, our site got dumped, it all fell apart.
So is that like you were working on that, and it was like the funding because of the economy kind of got dumped, so everybody
pulled out from under us as they were just beginning to give it to us. They were like, "Ooh, you guys have done a good job. We're gonna give you some money." And
they give you a little taste and then pull it back.
Yeah, right. And that's something interesting that maybe let's start there. Like, so with Screen Rant, is it it's obviously funded. It was started. It's a clean, crisp, a wonderful looking website. I mean, it's like easy to navigate. It looks like you have about 50 people working for Screen Rant because there's stories all the time. The research done there is just fantastic, because like I was telling Jeff and the audience before you got on, was like, when you post a story, you're not just giving us, Ben Affleck is Batman. You're like, giving us the breadcrumbs on how it got there,
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that, and I love that. So tell me, what's the process like for you and your team posting one of these stories, because they're so in depth?
I'm proud to say that I think our team, I don't know, I always have this argument, but like in journalism, I don't know if anybody, not to take away from anybody, but like I could put any one of our team out there and put them in the running with like most major news outlets, because they have, our process is they claim a story. We're not funded, by the way. We are independently owned. It's Vic that's it.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah. But yeah, so they get 45 minutes. They take a story, 45 minutes to an hour, because it's time-based. They have to knock out the writing, put in all the pictures, come up with all the analysis, and put it all together. And that's what we kind of just the expectation we hold over them. And it's just, this is what we expect each of our members to do. It's kind of like that scene in The Social Network where they're trying people out for Facebook.
Right.
And they give them a bunch of shots, and they're like, you better program this.
I love that.
Like 20 minutes. Yeah, that's kind of what we do to people.
So do you guys just throw your writers in a room, get them drunk, and then, whoever's left standing, they get the Batman v Superman story?
We don't even need alcohol. We're just like, here are these 3 stories we want you to cover in the next hour or so. Like, let's see how you do.
That's great.
But yeah, so yeah, each of our people, we just get people who are good at analysis and know this stuff back and forth, and kind of build. Each time they have to write a story, it's like adding another rung to a ladder. You gotta go up the steps before, and then
it's a never-ending ladder.
Yeah, and that's what I noticed. You guys, you have a lot of hyperlinks in your story where you could like go back and read how it informed the current story, and you go even further back. You have another link, and that to me
is a string theory. If you followed all these things, you would get back to the original Screen Rant story eventually.
Yeah, and I've done done that. You know, I've just been like, before I started with Schmoes Know, and even before I really got into this world, I was really just on Screen Rant a lot, and Jimmy O from Joe Blow was here. I was on Joe Blow a lot, and it was just really fun to read all the stories that kind of got there. So it's neat.
Kofi, I had a question for you.
Absolutely.
So first of all, I'm on your Twitter page, and I love the photo. I feel like
me too.
You mentioned that you were supposed to see No Good Deed, right? And the studio kind of pulled the screening at the last minute.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? Is that like a common occurrence? Like,
this is not a common occurrence. I mean, this was like, I don't usually get very riled up by things because, you know, you deal in this industry, you're always waiting, somebody's late, something gets rescheduled,
sure,
dealing with all that. So, you know, I'm pretty flexible, but yeah, this was unheard of, and it was kind of a really shady, flimsy reason. They sent us all an email, and they were like, so, a couple hours before you've made time to come see this movie, we just want to let you know that it's been canceled. Oh, and that's because there's a twist in the plot that will affect audiences if they know it before they see the movie. And I was like, this isn't Jacob's Ladder, you know? Like, it makes sense. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, I was like, and I even wrote them back and was like, excuse me, but I don't think I've ever heard of a movie screening being canceled because they want to protect the twist that badly.
Right.
I was like, this isn't Marvel. This isn't anything where there's like real twists to protect. I was like, this is just crazy. So, you know, I mean, everybody knows this business. I think they just thought they were going to have some kind of swell underneath this movie, and then maybe they tested it or something, and they were like, let's just try to get
I wish Screen Gems had canceled the press screening for Prom Night a few years ago. That was a twist I could have done without.
That was another Idris Elba movie, wasn't it?
I think it was, yeah.
Oh, God, that's funny.
That's one he'd like to forget.
And I appreciate that. But
So you were actually pretty upset over that then, I take it, you know.
Well, it kind of knocked my whole schedule loose because I was on the hook to review that movie this week, and so that was my screening. So now
Thursday at midnight or Friday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, I have something more important to do. I had the Schmoes Know podcast.
There you go. I love it.
Well, yeah, so right now, No Good Deed. If it fits into today, that's fine. If it gets to happy hour and I'm like, I'm not doing this, then they made their bed. I can't help it.
You know what? I want to see that movie, honestly, because I love those kind of mid-90s throwbacks, those thrillers.
Me too. I love a good B thriller, and I love both actors. I love Taraji P. Henson and Idris Elba. They're both great actors.
Yeah, it'll be fun watching them go head-to-head.
Yes, I'm just trying to wonder what that twist could be now. Now you got me thinking. Now I have to... Oh, maybe that was their whole point. They knew that Kofi was coming on Meet the Movie Press and saying that there was going to be a twist, and now we got to go see it.
Right.
No, I'm not going to go see it. I'm going to go see, I don't know.
It was especially odd because it's not like this movie, they were screening it like a week or two before it was released.
Yeah.
It was like a day. So, I don't know.
Okay.
But good luck to them in their opening weekend numbers.
Yeah.
I don't want that to win over Guardians of the Galaxy, but hey, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Guardians will probably pull out another
This movie
win.
just keeps on going.
I know.
And you know what else? I have to say, because I called it. It was on my sleeper list back in January. Let's Be Cops is still like in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah.
You really?
It's up to $70 million. It's quintupled its budget because it was made pretty cheap. It's like the cheapest movie Fox is releasing this year, other than Fault in Our Stars. So
yeah, and Kofi, have you seen Let's Be Cops?
Hats off to that movie.
I reviewed it. I mean, I wasn't really a fan. I didn't think it was bad. It was just kind of a generic movie. But I love both guys, and I've supported both these guys through their
no. I think it bodes well for them as movie stars. Jake Johnson and Damon Wayans.
Absolutely. And I haven't even seen it yet, but I want to see it. I know Harloff and I were going to try to go at one point, but we ended up seeing Guardians of the Galaxy again.
You guys got arrested that night, right?
No, maybe. Oh. Yes, we did.
Or wait, it was just by 2 guys.
It was just by just random guys dressed as cops. It was weird. So Kofi, a question that I've been trying to find on our Facebook page, Meet the Movie Press, on the Schmoes Know Network, some Schmovillians, as we call them, we're just again very excited to have you on and Screen Rant the brand and the website on. And a really good question came out that I like I said, I wish I could find it so I could give this guy credit. But because Screen Rant, it does what I was referring to earlier is like this, you're layering in so much information. As editor-in-chief, he asked this of me and of you. Do you have to look at everybody's work and kind of make sure it's good, or do you trust your writers and just go with it and they post it up and that's that?
Yeah, how's it work?
How does that work for you?
I trust my writers, absolutely, but I also trust that we all are working like 8 or 9 hour shifts every day.
Right.
And doing an incredible amount of writing, which, as we come through writing school, and half our editors are from like my writing school.
Yeah.
It naturally, it's just human error. You begin to weaken your senses.
Yeah, we all make
you
mistakes.
Can't spot things. So we trust each other, but we also trust each other to cover each other.
Right.
And so there are some people who self-publish because they're pretty reliable, most of the major editors, but we also have editorial stuff in place to kind of check over everybody's work. And yeah, I spent, before we got, before things kind of grew, I spent the first couple of years, that's like all I did was sit back and just read countless amounts of the writer's writing and improve it. And, as we've gone along, we've gotten smarter about who we hire, what kind of people. But yeah, in the beginning when we were just taking things, random people off the internet, kind of postings, like, it could be a bad day where I was just slogging through people's writing and literally just kind of improving it by percentages and be like, well, this last post is 30% you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But those days have kind of smoothed out. I mean, personnel, we have great people on our team, and so I can relax a little bit more. But there's still things because formatting, pictures, small errors, factual errors, which can kind of be the hardest thing for us because when you get into all that information, keeping it all straight and correct can get real tough.
Yeah, I've run into the same problem. Actually, I had a writer that that I completely trust, and he can publish anytime he wants. But I do remember then getting a random tweet from somebody saying, dude, your dates are all off. And I can't remember what it was for. It was like release dates. And I went in and I said, oh, geez, sorry. And, you had to go in and fix it.
Oh, yeah. I've fallen on quite a few swords in my day. I've had days where we woke up and, we've had Michael Bay angry at us, like posting on michaelbay.com how much we suck, and people calling my phone at like 7 a.m. and like... Wait,
Michael Bay was calling you?
No, he did not call me, thankfully. He just went to michaelbay.com and just kind of lambasted us. It was during Transformers 3.
Oh.
It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
It was basically about how much 3D or not was in the film. We had a guy on the set. He reported something. He got it from a solid source who later kind of recanted. And then in the end, so we kind of did a mea culpa because it was Michael Bay and Paramount everybody was kind of aiming at us, and we kind of backed down from that. But I got to say, for the record, lo and behold, years later, it came out through separate articles that, there was a little bit of a flub on how much actual 3D was in that movie. Our guy turned out to be right. So
don't you appreciate, though,
that guy?
Don't you appreciate that Michael Bay did take to his website to do that? Like, at least it's him, and it's not some BS PR statement.
Oh, yeah. No, that made me feel good and terrified all at once.
Yeah.
It was kind of the day where I realized I was like, uh-oh. Kind of hit that.
Yeah, Michael Bay is on to you.
I may not like what Michael Bay has to say a lot of the time, but I appreciate the fact that he actually has the balls to say it.
You know what? I agree with that. I say what you will about his movies, which I've said a lot about Transformers 4, as you know, guys. I've ranted the hell out on that one. But yeah, the guy kind of, he puts up and he doesn't shut up. He's there to kick ass and take names. So, Kofi, let me go into more of the website and I know you're privately funded. Do you actually run ads and get ad revenue, to help, your staff and whatnot?
Yeah, we are. I am a for-profit editor. We do things to make ad revenue and to take care of our writers and do all that. And that's what we've been doing ever since I've been around, and that's just kind of how we get our revenue. But we try to do it in a way. It's another balancing act to try to find a way to run ads, make money, but not completely destroy your user experience. So people can go to your site without closing 15 windows and such.
I hate that so much.
I really hate that.
I don't want to call out websites right now, but there's a bunch of people who are probably listening to this who run websites where it's just like
you
get hit with a GMC truck every 5 seconds. There are a couple of things I'm thinking
about too, but I don't slander anybody else for what they got to do.
Pay the
bills.
Of course.
Me too.
It's a tough thing to figure out, but those are all kind of like internal meetings we always have about where we are with the advertising compared, us, me creatively yelling at Vic, him yelling at me, trying to find the balance. We do a lot of just kind of, we're all so different. We try to just get it all and find the middle ground. But because there's been times like we'll have you know, you have your shady advertisers where you're like, here's what we agree to, and then they're like, every 5 seconds pop up, like, you're like, well, that's not what we agreed to. Or I think the new thing is those automatic sound ads, which are like the most annoying thing in the world.
Oh yeah, you're like looking around to see if the TV's on, and you're like, what is going on here?
Window in the back.
Because there's random sounds start popping from your computer.
And that's what I wanted to ask you, because that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm kind of leading the charge on schmozno.com with the advertisers. So I guess as editor-in-chief, you know, I'm doing less lately of writing and posting articles and covering, and kind of letting my team do it, and spending more time with advertisers and putting things in place. Are you the same? Are you handling a lot of the business side of the behind the scenes on these websites? Because I think that's, Schmoville, what you guys don't know. To get these websites successful, it really is important to pull in some advertisers. And Kofi even brought it up. You don't want to turn them off with these things. You don't want to put, and I've had conversations with advertisers where, no, I don't want to put a big, huge splash page that takes over the entire website. And, you know, it sits there for 15 seconds before you can actually get there. Because I feel like people will go, nah, I can find it somewhere else.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so are you behind the scenes doing that as well, Kofi?
No, we kind of delegate. In the recent years, it was kind of messy, but in the last couple of years, we kind of smoothed everything out to kind of clear lanes of jobs. So like now, one guy does HR, one guy does PR, and
you have HR at Screen Rant?
Yeah.
Holy
Ben does our
shit.
HR because he's a very personal person, where some of us are a little bit harder on people. So yeah, he's good. He goes and handles anybody requesting, because, you know, you get all those notes every day. People start to become, and they're like, you know, they want to make queries about stuff or opportunities and things like that. And just keeping track of if everybody's happy, because you do get to have a bigger staff. I think we're in like maybe 25 right now, probably 15 regular everyday people, and like just keeping track of all those people and how they're doing, if they're happy, all that stuff. Like, yeah, you got to split that off. It's another person. So he does that. We got a TV guy. And then Vic, actually, with us kind of coming up and taking on more responsibilities, Vic has kind of been able to step back and focus almost exclusively, which is what we want, you know, from our owners, to be able to kind of focus on advertising and doing all that and negotiating that world. And he has background in SEO and that kind of stuff, so he knows all those RPMs and stuff like that. And he kind of, and it was a good, I mean, that's kind of how we formed in the beginning, because he would take care of all that, and that was kind of the deal I made with him. I was like, look, I see your site, it's great, like, but I think, you know, with my writing background and some of the background I have, I can help you transform this. And he was like, kid, you have big dreams. And I was like,
get out of here, you.
And I was like, listen, if you take care of the business side, I'll take care of the creative side, and we'll see what we do. And then he was just kind of skeptical, but after a while, it became, I guess, when it started to work out, he was like, oh, okay. So that's how we separated it, and it was kind of, so I didn't have to worry about business stuff, because I'm a creative guy. I went to school twice for writing, fiction, stories, all that stuff. That's me. And but as you get older, and, you know, as you get more into this, yes, more business things, I've had to kind of add a little bit of that, but I still don't deal directly with anything like the advertisers. I would always just pass them the Vic.
Yeah, it's tough to kind of navigate those waters, and I think it's very interesting for Schmoville, for you guys to understand with these websites, these big websites. It really is an all-encompassing thing, not only just creative, and copy editing, and make sure it's, you know, factual, and then, you know, making sure the business is run. Then you have the tech side, then you have the behind the scenes and the marketing, and it's a lot to do. And so it sounds like, I mean, and it's obvious with ScreenRant.com, you can see it moving very well. It's people are on Schmoville are like, oh my God, Screen Rant. They love you guys, and we source you guys all the time. You know,
we see that's. I mean, it's amazing. You guys have a great community.
Yeah,
we love your podcast. Like,
thank you.
It's all, we got. I mean, I remember it wasn't even that long ago it came up, because, you know, we always have these panic moments in the beginning,
right?
Before we find out people are cool, we're like, what is this site we keep seeing? Why is this site jumping up? You know, like, who is this site that we keep sourcing recently? And then we kind of checked in. We're like, oh, you guys are really cool. We like what you do.
Schmoes is a good traffic refer.
Yeah, we cover everything. I cover Jeff's work all the time. I cover your work all the time. I think it's important. I always like to give credit where credit's due, and you know, it's sometimes, you know, you get like maybe an exclusive, and somebody else, you know, quotes another website. Maybe I've seen that happen a couple times, and Jeff and I, we've talked about this a lot, the word exclusive, which kind of brings me to my next point, Kofi. Like, do you guys drop exclusives? Because I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, I see more reporting than I do, here's an exclusive like Latino Review does every day. You know, they're like, here, we got another exclusive, another exclusive. And you guys, you know, do you have your toe dipped in that water? Do you have sources and all that kind of stuff?
We do, but it's weird. Like, we have sources, but like our sources are such that if we do know something, it's usually something we can't share.
Okay.
Or even something we wouldn't share because we don't want to ruin fan experience. I mean, we are conscious of that.
Yeah.
So we'll sit down and say, we know this, Y, and Z. Like, we can know Marvel stuff going ahead like 3 years.
Yeah.
But we won't say anything because we want everybody to get there and take the journey. And so we might just do our reporting with that in mind that we know.
Okay.
But to still make it fun for the fans, because, I mean, that's the hardest thing for us these days, is to remember where we are compared to where the general public is.
Yeah. Well,
and so, no, I mean, we don't chase exclusives. Sometimes we have them fall in our lap. Like, I did an interview with the Ninja Turtles directors, and they were talking just briefly. We weren't even focused on that, about like the sequels and Dimension X and Krang and all that stuff. And I just basically asked them, would you do that? And they were like, yeah. So I just wrote that up as a little article, not even thinking twice, and then it started getting linked back to everywhere.
That's great.
So that was kind of an inadvertent exclusive. But no, we don't. We used to. When we got in, there were several key changes that I know I did editorially when I came in. One of them was article length when I started.
Okay.
Everybody swore up and down that short articles would be better.
Okay.
Because the internet was theoretically speed reading, and I kind of just said to Vic, like, why don't we just do more analysis? Like,
that's what I noticed with you guys, especially, and that's what I've always said with your breadcrumbs. You know, you're giving us the whole story, and it's actually great reading. I mean, you guys got some great talented writers on there. I just love it. So.
Oh yeah, we have to lock those guys in a cage and gals in a cage sometimes and feed them water just to get them to that level. But,
yeah, put the hose on them.
Once they get there, yeah, that can be the hardest process. Just getting people into that. Being like, no, we do a minimum about 500 words for like a news article. Sure. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
Kofi, I had a potentially sensitive question for you.
Sure, absolutely.
What do you make of from what I can tell, the lack of diversity in our line of work?
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, well, I'll tackle. I'm not afraid of sensitive questions, so I'll tackle this one.
Let's do that.
I think it's odd in our industry. I will never fault anybody individually. I've met a lot of people in our industry, and we're all, I mean, in this industry, I mean, how can you not be a little bit quirky if we all are into this stuff and sit around all day typing about it?
Yeah.
So we all can be a little quirky, but yeah, there's a lack of diversity. I mean, it was kind of a joke. I was on a set visit like about a month or two ago, and it were 3 black guys. I was one of the 3, and we were all just like in a huddle, like, oh my God, this is like... This is record. Is somebody taking pictures of this?
Yeah.
Like, you know, but it's odd, and it's just kind of weird at the same time, because I feel like even though you get into this, and especially a lot of stuff at Hollywood, it kind of seems on the surface very liberal and very kind of progressive. There are all these Twitter arguments you see all the time about race, about feminism, about this, that, and the other. It's like, but when you start to get under the surface of it, it's not nearly that as kind of progressive and liberal as you seem. There are a lot of people who are from small towns in the Midwest. Like, that was the most shocking thing to me. It was just like, how many people actually hail from like small Main Street towns in the Midwest who are actually in this like profession?
Yeah.
I thought it would be like a coastal thing, and then it was just like, no, that's not true at all. I mean, a lot of people move to the coasts.
Sure.
They came from like Texas, Ohio, or places like that. And so once I kind of figured that out, I was like, okay, well, this begins to make more sense. But yeah, I also taught writing for a while I was doing this job down at a kind of a little vocational school here in New York City. Nice. And yeah, we were just talking about, all of that, how there's a lack of diversity and just things that involve things like writing, which is a huge problem in our country, which, not to get too serious, but as a former teacher, I mean, I don't think we've caught up to just how bad and behind that is, because I mean, just trying to teach a lot of students in the inner city, it was terrible. Like, I mean, Ben also did that same job, and he can tell you just how close so many adults were to illiteracy and things like that. Yeah. And what the demographics of that were in terms of like race and culture and stuff. It was pretty disturbing. So yeah, I mean, it is a kind of disturbing thing overall. When you look at something like Latino Review or Black Film, and those are like the only sites, and you have people like the guys at Latino Review and Wilson from Black Film, and like Wilson's a one-man operation.
Yeah. Right? So that's interesting. So do you feel that with women in this business as well? I mean, there's basically none.
I feel bad for a lot of the girls who are brave enough to do this every day and face, because I mean, it's become one of the things recently I've talked to our staff about, not to get too serious again, but that we never really figured on is, our jobs are kind of the Wild West. We are on like a weird frontier where we're doing all this. So things like mental health is not something we ever have factored into our jobs.
Yeah.
But, I've had to talk to my staff a lot because they're very good. They're very dedicated. And like those guys and gals would like work themselves to death for this site.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've been there myself. And, and sometimes I worry that they are working themselves either crazy or to death because they've been inside all week and they haven't gone outside. And so, and just facing the internet and the negativity every single day can be trying on any of us.
Well, yeah, and I was very lucky to find 2 female writers for Schmoes Know, and they were fantastic, Erin Parisian and Stacey Howard. And I immediately brought them on, and they were crushing it. But in 2 cases, they made an article, and they were just destroyed on the internet, because because she was a woman, and she said, "I love geeks." And somebody came out and just stirred up the hornet's nest on that. You're like, how dare you? How dare you say that? You're a pretty girl walking around and this and that. I'm like, she's a pretty girl, sure, but she's also a really good writer and she has great opinions. So why is that a problem? Yeah.
I mean,
hey man, pretty girls in writing school all the time. Doesn't mean just because they're a pretty girl they have to be vapid and shallow, man.
Yeah. What's the big deal?
I mean,
that's crazy on a lot of levels. And I've seen the same thing. We have female writers who do both Screen Rant and our sister site Game Rant, and the game stuff. We've all seen the controversy of that in the last few weeks.
Oh boy, I know.
She posts stuff on Facebook where she's like the nicest girl. She's from England, great girl. And she got people are just freaking out and saying the most horrible stuff. And we've had to step in. I've started personally what I call Internet 2.0 because I used to have the problem of responding to people, and that would make a lot of people angrier whenever I would respond.
Okay.
So that's also why we have an HR guy now, by the way, and a PR guy, because they're much better at handling this stuff.
Interesting.
But no, I started Internet 2.0. I don't get mad at people anymore when they say crazy things. Like, we have people who are great at internet research. We just look up who they are. And then I might send them a Facebook post like I did to a guy the other day who was on there, and it was about Bill Murray and the Ghostbusters, the female Ghostbusters thing. He said, well, that guy liked that thing except for the Melissa McCarthy thing. He started dropping all over our Facebook page, Melissa McCarthy is a C word and this and that and the other.
Oh, come on.
And I was like, okay, time out. And I went to him and another guy who were saying them. I linked their names in a post in our response. And I said, if you want to do that, and because I found out he worked for an actual website, I was like, wow, this guy's a public writer.
Oh, boy.
And so I linked to him. I was if your name, want to do this on your job, link to your job, that's fine. Don't do it on our page.
Yeah, I like that you're calling those people out.
And
Jeff said he likes that you're calling them out, and I've done it too. And
people need to be held accountable. I think.
Absolutely do.
What they're saying online,
and that's a big part of this job, guys. In Schmoville, is that you might not see all the time, but for us guys behind the scenes, and we're putting out these articles, you get, obviously everybody knows the internet trolls, but you tend to get a lot of them. They tend to stir up things in you, and it's like, do you engage or do you not engage, and do you protect or do you just let it go? And we're seeing that change now with the gaming thing that just happened. What's that girl's name?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember. But well, we got to wrap it up here, Kofi, and it's just great to hear from you. But I want to just get one opinion from you before we go, and that's all this, what I am calling ridiculous Star Wars news and lack thereof, and how it seems to have a new story every day. I know you guys cover it. I know you guys do your thing. What's your opinion of the lack of Star Wars news, however, that there seems to be articles every day?
It's almost driven me crazy.
Thank you, me too.
I'm a guy who's had to read back through all the expanded universe stuff, study. I watched the whole Clone Wars, and just trying to figure this out, and knowing that in the end it's probably going to be something like we never ever guessed.
Well, that's what, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, it's like, J.J. Abrams tweets out a picture of a note, and then the next day there's going to be a Death Star in Episode 7. I just don't get that jump. I know that speculation is part of our job, and I know that it's fun to speculate and start a discussion, but is that what you would call maybe hit whoring, hit, what do you call it?
Oh, link baiting?
Link baiting? Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. That's always been a weird part of our job. And I'll give you guys this gem, and everybody in Schmoesville, don't put me out of business with this, but one thing I will always say is that I think it's a mistake sometimes to report that stuff as if it's news. I clicked on our article about this yesterday, and I saw that Death Star thing, and I don't think we put it in the Death Star in the title or anything, but
a lot of people
I just saw
did.
it, and I was just like, what the hell is this? I was like, well, that was kind of underwhelming, even for me, just looking at the article. But, we try to do something more fun. So, Badass Digest a couple of months ago, Devin Faraci, he put out an article that was kind of a scoop that said, you won't see Darkseid until Justice League 2, right?
Right.
And I was like, well, that's good, but I don't think I want to sit down and write a whole article about that. So I took that little kernel of information, and over the course of the week, I made 8 great villains who we want to see in Justice League, built her off of that happening.
That's great. See, that's a positive way to do it. Yeah, because I had a conversation with my managing editor when that tweet came out with the Death Star, and we both agreed it was not worthy of a post. And then, sure enough, the next day, even the Hollywood Reporter is reporting it, and it was
guys always secretly come and look at all of our sector, and then they're like, "Well, this should be news."
Well,
I think we know who it is too.
They have someone who's there now full time to kind of analyze all that comic book news. So
yeah, because I always I'll see articles on Screen Rant or on our site or Latino Review, blah 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 down the line, and then end of the day, Variety said, tweet something out, and it was the Death Star thing. Will the Death Star be in Episode 7? And I just roll my eyes. So I just wanted to know your thoughts on all the Star Wars stuff, because it's
me in that situation. For example, I would rather read an article that said, "Do we really want all these old Star Wars elements in a new Star Wars? Yes or no?"
Yeah,
that's something you could take this little kernel of information and be like,
yeah,
well, here's a larger discussion. And so we try to strive for that.
And you do it well. You absolutely do it well. And like I said, Screen Rant is one of my faves. And Kofi Outlaw, editor-in-chief of Screen Rant, man, thank you for coming on Meet the Movie Press and coming into Schmoeville. Schmoeville, I want you to... Kofi, what's your handle on Twitter there?
It's PPN Kof, and just an explanation. No, that doesn't mean anything crazy. It doesn't mean I'm Peeping Tom or Pimpin' Kof or anything like that.
Oh,
it was a nickname I got. It was fitting as a kid because of my ability to analyze things. That's how I got that.
Okay, good. Yeah. So I'm sure. Obviously, you've got some people wondering.
Yeah.
But, all right.
I come up against it. That's that, and people thinking I made up my name are the two things I've realized since I got this job that I need to clarify up front.
That's funny.
Nice. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Good luck with everything.
You guys, you're going to give us a big head. We try to keep our guys thinking they're barely hanging on. So thank you very much. Thank you to all of Schmoesville. And thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely, man. And have fun out there. And we'll talk to you soon. And next time you're in LA, we'll get you on the show.
Absolutely. You guys enjoy your day, your weekend, and hopefully you see better movies than No Good Deed.
Will do. That was Kofi Outlaw, editor-in-chief of ScreenRant.com. He was a great guy.
Yeah.
Nice guy. Good interview. Yeah, so, and that's it. That's all the time we have on Meet the Movie Press. So I'm going to do some plugging here. Guys, again, please rate, subscribe, comment on the iTunes. We would love to rise the charts there on iTunes. And go over to Meet the Movie Press on the Schmoes Know Network Facebook page. Give us a like and start to get active. Let's throw some questions out there. Tell us what you think about the show, what you'd like to see, some maybe potential guests that you want. And, hit me up on Twitter, Reilly Around, at Reilly Around. And Jeff?
I'm at the Sneider. And Facebook.com/Spielberg.
Spielberg?
Be my friend.
You're Spielberg? Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'm waiting for him to buy it off me. This has been Meet the Movie Press, folks.
This has been Meet the Movie Press. You guys, thanks, as always, for tuning in. And we will see you next week.
From the Schmoes Know Network Studios in Los Angeles, California, it's time for Meet the Movie Press. And now, here's your host, editor-in-chief of SchmoesKnow.com, Mark Reilly. From producers and from the Wrap, Mark Ellis and the entire Schmoes Know Network crew, we would like to thank you for listening to Meet the Movie Press. Special thanks to Kevin Undergaro and Maria Menounos, the author of Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness, in stores now. To watch or listen to other Schmoes Know Network episodes, get movie news, or join the conversation, be sure to visit SchmoesKnow.com. I'm the Pit Boss, and this has been a presentation of Schmoes Know.